How would it feel to work less while getting twice as much done and finally making progress towards your goals? That is the question that I asked myself this past week while running my podcast. And I now realize I have clarity on what I really want out of this show. Where do I want this show to go? Where do I want the founder games to be? And that clarity came whenever I started to establish the branding for the show now. I got a revamped logo, a new profile picture, and an animation for the intro scene. And it's given me a lot of clarity on the vibe and the energy that I want to bring with the show. And it's given me so much drive to live up to because I look up to all these massive podcasters with these amazing brands, and I look at what they're doing, what formats they're doing, what guests they're bringing on, what topics they're discussing, and it's a lot. It's a lot to think about. It's a lot to actually be inspired by because I could replicate what Joe Rogan's doing and just interview some really famous people and have like a super high production set, have my own studio, or I could just be a digital nomad and take podcast interviews on a beach in Bali. There's so many ways that you can take a podcast, and I think I've got a little bit of clarity on at least on where I want this show to go, and that starts with the new rebrand. So I'm really happy with the way it turned out. It's got like this whole black and gold vibe. I've got this new backdrop here, this curtain. It's simple right now, but I'm gonna add some lighting in the back, hopefully to add to that gold luxurious energy that I'm trying to cultivate here. And yeah, I think that aligning, your brand comes down to more than just your logo or your social media bio or banner. Your brand is also like how you present yourself. So like the clothes I wear, the jewelry that I wear on set, the backdrop. It comes down to also like the topics that you discuss on the actual podcast, how the episodes are formatted. That all comes down, and even like the words that you say, the content you put out on social media, those all contribute so much to a branded podcast. And I'm starting to figure that out as I'm going through this process of getting this new logo in, setting up my set so it's a little bit more aligned. And it's been awesome. It's been an awesome experience to finally have some clarity on where I want this show to go. And as far as how it lines up with the long-term vision, right? I eventually want to move to Austin, where all the podcasters are, have, a small little studio there so we can start doing some in-person shows. Uh, but for right now, it's like it's been so helpful to iterate because when I first started, we had just my laptop, no mic, no cameras, just my laptop. So I used my laptop webcam and the laptop mic, which actually wasn't all that bad. And then I paid for Descripts to help me with the editing because I was not about to learn Premiere, Adobe Audition, all that stuff, and then have to pay for the Adobe Suite. Like, no, I wasn't about to do that. So we got Descripts and then laptop. So that was what I was working with. No, I had no lighting, so I had to use this. My I have this bookmark for my book, and it has this light on it that's really good, but it wasn't amazing. Right now, I have a key light up here, but I was using this tiny little reading light to light up my face as I was doing the podcasts. But now we've leveled up. We have a backdrop, we have a key light, we have all of these new additions, and I've only been able to make these decisions to iterate on the podcast because of just going through it, rewatching my episodes and realizing that holy crap, like my lighting is bad, my video quality is blurry. And so this is the first, well, I guess second, because I just got off of a podcast with Fabian, but this is the second podcast that is recorded on my phone. So I didn't go out and buy an expensive camera. I just have my phone and a little software that connects to my computer, and the quality should hopefully be a lot better. And yeah, this past week I hit my first, or I guess I ate the frog. I looked the highest paying task right in the eyes, which was to rewatch my episode. So I rewatched my first ever episode with Payro um, twice. Took some notes on what I could improve on, and I could already tell. Like I haven't really implemented it yet. Like I haven't taken action on that learning, but I can already tell you that just by rewatching that episode and taking note of the mannerisms, the way I spoke, it's been absolutely mind-boggling because I realized that how far I've come, right? From that point where I was a complete podcast noob to where I'm at now, where actually know things. I understand things. I understand what it takes to interview someone, at least to a certain level. I'm still getting better, still trying to improve, trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong. And just by rewatching the episode a few times, taking some notes, and then acting upon those notes, I can already tell you that'll easily level my podcast so much faster. That combined with high quantity. So I'm gonna be doing more solo episodes like this, just building in public. That's the real intention behind these. I'm just basically a journal where I'm talking about how the podcast is going, my vision for it, what I've been doing in the past week. So that's what these solo episodes are going to be, just building in public and documenting the journey. Because listening to Chris Williams' podcast and really any successful person ever said that the only regret that they have is that they didn't document the journey from the very beginning. And that's my intention with these solo episodes, to document the journey, not just for myself, but so that you can understand what it takes for uh, a podcast to actually get off the ground, because that's where I'm at, right? I'm still on the tarmac. I haven't taken off yet, So I want to document the journey from the very beginning. And now this is episode number 19 or maybe 18, and we're just now starting this. So not necessarily at the very beginning, but we're still early on in our journey, and I think that documenting it is going to be huge. And what better way to do it than on an actual podcast, right? Where I can just let my thoughts go free and wild. And I guess I'll talk a little bit more about what I've been doing this week for the podcast. So just to like document it a little bit more, I niched down. So initially, it was basically the whole premise of my podcast was interviewing entrepreneurs, high performing entrepreneurs, to understand the habits, tools, and routines that they do that allow them to work harder and actually see success in their life. Obviously, it's decently niche, but it's not super niche. So the key word that I looked into was life, right? I said, how can you optimize your life to work harder and succeed in business? And so I dug in. I asked myself questions about, okay, what does life break down into? And it's like health, wealth, and relationships, right? Which topic would I enjoy talking about the most? It was health. And so now we've niched down to, I guess I'll just read the mission statement for you. This is the Founder Games, the show teaching you how to optimize your health to make hard work feel easy. That's the mission statement. And the audience I'm targeting are entrepreneurs who are burnt out workaholics and want to optimize their health so they can work their ass off and feel sexy while they do it. Yeah, that feels good to me. Like that feels like a solid audience to go after. It's niche enough and valuable enough to that specific person. Hopefully you, that yeah, I'm super excited to just like dig into this, because I can now bring on. I'm not just forced to only be able to bring on entrepreneurs. I can bring on coaches. I can bring on experts, researchers, scientists, because health is this huge, huge field, but health for entrepreneurs is really niche. And I think that, that more the entrepreneurs that actually care about their health would really find this valuable. Especially if I could get some insights from the experts in the industry that know the science behind, diet, sleep, fitness. And yeah, that's the new intention. That's the new niche. And I think that I'll find a lot of clarity and a lot of value in myself. Like it's almost kind of selfish what I'm doing, wanting to get these conversations in with these experts, because I want to learn how to optimize my sleep better. I want to learn how to work out and how I can use my fitness to improve my business? Like, how can I improve my sleep so that I can work harder on my business and get that off the ground even faster, you know? How can I optimize these aspects of our health to better to make hard work feel easy? That's essentially the goal. And yeah, so we niched down, we worked on some branding, and I'm super excited. The Fabian episode's gonna have all the new branding in it. It's gonna be awesome. Uh, and this video, this little build in public episode isn't really gonna have that branding in it because I just want these to be super raw, uncut, unedited, just straight talking head, building in public, documenting the journey. And so branded, and then we did some more niching down, and then we did some video quality updates. So right now, like I said, I'm using my phone instead of my webcam. I actually have like two other webcams up there that I tried, but they just suck. And I never even thought about using my phone as the camera. But now I have a software that connects to my phone, and now look, this is the quality that we get, and I think it's pretty solid. And the benefits are super easy. And the software allows me to basically turn my phone into a DSLR. Like I have all the functionality to customize all the photography and the cinematography aspects of things. It's on auto right now because I haven't learned the ins and outs of it yet. But yeah, I don't even have to pay for another camera. I already had one, and I think that brings up a pretty good point that the the solutions to your problems are typically the most simple ones and the ones that are pretty obvious that you should probably already know and already have done, but you just overlook them. So, yeah, if you're ever facing a kind of an annoying problem, like a pesky one in your business or in your life, look towards the most simple solutions that you probably already have. Like you don't even need to spend any extra money on it. You probably already have the solution. You just need to do it. And in my case, it was just using my phone as a camera. And so now we have this higher quality video, I hope. And beyond that, I started to look at my daily tasks because I realized that I'm starting to feel a little bit overwhelmed with everything that involves a podcast. You know, I'm the it's a one man show. You know, I am booking my guests. I am doing research on my guests. I am recording the episodes. I am editing the episodes. I'm setting up the studio. I am publishing the episodes. I'm repurposing the episodes. I'm making content for the episodes. And that is a lot. On top of, you know, going to school at the same time and doing everything else in my life, it's a lot. And so I did a little audit on my daily routine. So I listed out every little task. So I have a little system in Trello with all my tasks for the podcast. So I listed them all out, right? And I looked at them and then I applied the AED framework, which is automate, eliminate, or delegate. So you decide what tasks are so low leverage that you can just completely eliminate them. And I eliminated my newsletter and some of the editing aspects because I didn't want to remove filler words. I was spending like half an hour or so going through the entire transcript of the podcasts to remove filler words. And here's the framework I'm going to use now is that if I just don't let myself edit the filler words out, then it forces me to be better on the podcast and not use filler words and not use and like as much. Those are my filler words. And it forces me to just be a better host, to be a better speaker. So if I don't allow myself to edit out the filler words, then I will use less filler words. So I eliminated that. And as for automating, I just streamlined my Calendly a little bit more so that the guests get a little bit more information and like the scheduling and stuff like that. I also automated the show notes because in Descript they write the show notes for you, but I just don't like the show notes. So I created a system in Notion that takes me like 2 seconds to go through, and I just have like a full, consistent show notes that I can just plug and play the templates based on the episode into. So it's gonna be consistent descriptions and show notes hopefully, and all I need to do is like add in like the guests' socials and stuff like that, their links. So that should be more consistent. Thumbnail system. My thumbnails are kind of bad because I just don't know how to design a cool thumbnail. But I think the key is consistency. It doesn't matter how bad the thumbnail looks, as long as it's decent and it's consistent, right? So like the same style, the same font color, same kind of like vibe. And what I'm seeing is that it's got to align with your brand. So like black and gold is my color, so black and gold in the thumbnail. Have a picture of the guest with like some quotes or like a cool piece of text that aligns with the episode, and it's kind of almost clickbaity. This is all just packaging, making the episode look really nice and sexy so that people want to click on it and listen. Still need to work on that for sure, but it's getting better, more consistent. And delegation wise, I have not delegated anything because it's expensive and I don't want to deal with VAs. But down the line, I definitely will. I've been thinking actually about looking for a partner, a business partner to help me run this show because, if I could, I'm not the most creative person, so I want to find that yin to my yang and have like a creative director or somebody come in and give me a little bit of uh breathing room with like the editing and the thumbnail design and all the creativity side of things. So I've been thinking about that and finding that right person. And besides that, in my life in general, away from my podcast, I've been reading a lot more. I've been building the habit of reading before bed and then just spending time doing shallow work. So in the afternoons, we were just talking about this actually on Fabian's podcast, but just doing shallow work, essentially reading and learning and going through courses and stuff like that in the afternoons because I do all my deep work in the morning. And then in the afternoons, just like relax, learn, read, do courses, and then have an evening routine where I can just reflect and think about, what works, what didn't, how I can get better myself, and just let my thoughts catch up from the day. So yeah, reading a lot more. Just finished up the Almanac of All Robbie Kant for the third time, and I'm gonna start reading Genius, the biography about Richard Feynman, and reading The Lord of the Flies right now as my fiction piece, and also Albert Einstein by Walter Isaacson. So those are the books I'm reading right now. Definitely want to be able to have that separation between my deep work and my shallow work. And I'm going to do that by forcing myself to cut out by 2:30 p.m. 2:30 p.m. like deep work, go to the gym, and then after the gym, after lunch, no more deep work. Just have that balance and just transition to shallow work where I can just read and learn stuff like that. But yeah, it's been quite a journey so far. I hope these solo episodes give a lot more insight into what it takes to have a somewhat decent podcast, I'd say. When I look back, when I rewatch that episode, it's crazy to think how far I've come as far as quality goes, niche goes, my ability to convey ideas, my interviewing skills, the way I research, the way I structure the episodes, my studio. Um, it's been a hell of a journey, but I'm so grateful that I've been able to stay consistent with this, that I've been able to iterate and have even more passion now to make these episodes even better. And I hope to take you all along with me for the journey.